It wasn't the flowers, the dates, or even the compliments. No, the very first thing she remembers when she starts falling in love with you is the moment you made her feel truly seen. That unspoken moment that didn't require grand gestures or perfectly rehearsed lines. It was the way you listened when she spoke, how you leaned in, not just with your body, but with your soul. Maybe it was something small. Maybe she was talking about something no one else cared about, something others brushed off. But you didn't. You noticed. You asked questions. You remembered the little details that everyone else forgot. That's the moment that lives rent-free in her mind, because it made her feel like she mattered. You didn't just see her face. You saw her fire. You saw the insecurities she hides behind her laughter. You saw the strength in her story, even when she downplayed it. You looked past the surface and connected with the woman she is underneath all the layers. That's rare. That's powerful. That's unforgettable. And maybe it happened in silence. Maybe it wasn't even during a deep conversation. Maybe it was the way you watched her from across the room when she was laughing with friends, unaware of your gaze. You weren't trying to impress her. You were just present, honest, open. That kind of moment builds the foundation of real love. That's the kind of presence that tells her, you're not invisible here. And when a woman feels seen, truly seen, that's when her heart starts to open without her even realizing it. Most men think it's about the chase, the gifts, the image, but women remember how you made them feel. And when she starts falling, that one memory plays over and over again in her mind like a song she can't stop humming. It's the memory she runs to when she's alone. It's the moment she shares with her best friend in a late-night call when she whispers, "I think he's different." It's not always easy to create that kind of connection. You have to be real. You have to slow down and look at her. Not just the way she looks, but the way she is asterisk. Her quirks, her silence, the way she talks about her dreams, when she sees you noticing those parts of her, the parts that most people overlook, it awakens something inside her. It tells her that love might be possible here, that this might be a safe place to grow, to open up, to be herself. And you may not even realize you're doing it, but she does, she remembers, and that memory becomes the spark that lights everything else on fire. Because in the end, the truth is simple. We all want to be seen, and when you're the one who does that for her, you become unforgettable. And that's just the beginning of her falling in love with you. When a woman starts falling in love, she doesn't just remember how you made her laugh or the way you smiled at her across the table. She remembers how you handled her vulnerability. That moment when her walls came down, even just a little, and she showed you the part of herself that's not polished or picture perfect. The part she usually hides, that's the part she's most protective of, and how you responded in that moment. That's what stays with her. That's what tells her whether to move closer or pull back. Maybe she was telling you about her past, about heartbreak, loss, disappointment. Or maybe it wasn't words at all. Maybe her energy shifted, her eyes watered for just a second, or her silence grew louder than usual. That was her heart opening just a crack. That was her testing the waters, asking, "Can I trust him with this?" And what you did next, that's everything. Did you listen without interrupting? Did you sit in the silence with her instead of rushing to fix it? Did you give her room to feel, to express, to be messy without judgment? Because that's what she'll remember. Not the perfect date or the charming text, but how safe she felt when she was most unsure. When a woman begins to fall, she needs to know that her softness won't be used against her, that her honesty won't be thrown back in her face later. She needs to see that your presence doesn't disappear when things get heavy, that you're not just there for her smile, but also for her silence, for the nights when she doesn't have it all together, for the days when her confidence falters. And here's the thing, she's not looking for someone to save her. She's already been saving herself for years. She's looking for someone to hold space, to honor her emotions instead of shrinking from them, to be a calm voice when the past resurfaces and threatens to shake the ground beneath her feet. When you show up like that, it sends a message to her heart that says, you don't have to hide here, you're safe with me. Most men want the best version of a woman. The confident, glowing, empowered side, but the one she falls for, the one she remembers when love starts to grow. That's the man who stayed steady when her voice cracked, the one who didn't flinch when she shared her fears, the one who didn't run from her darkness but reached out his hand and said, I'm not going anywhere. And she won't forget that. Not ever. Because in a world that tells her to toughen up, that vulnerability is weakness, you became the place where she didn't have to pretend. And that's when love quietly walks in. That's when she starts to see you not just as someone she likes, but someone she could trust with her whole heart. And that trust is the soil where love begins to bloom. There's a moment she replays in her mind when she starts to fall in love with you, and it's not the one where you were trying to impress her. It's the one you didn't even know she noticed. It's the way you looked at her when you thought she wasn't watching. That unfiltered, unguarded moment when your eyes spoke louder than any words ever could. A glance that said, I see you, not just with curiosity, but with a quiet kind of awe. You didn't plan it, it wasn't staged. Maybe she was doing something simple, laughing at a joke, fixing her hair, getting lost in a story. And in that second, something in you softened, your face changed, you forgot to play it cool, and she saw it. Or she felt it, even if she didn't catch you directly, and that look, that moment, is what she holds on to when her heart starts drifting your way. Because women don't fall for performance, they fall for presence. They fall for the silent honesty that can't be faked. And when you look at her like she's the only person in the room, even when you think she's not paying attention, that's when something shifts inside her. That's when she starts asking herself, could this be real? And not because you told her how beautiful she is, but because she saw it in your eyes before you ever said a word. There's something sacred about being seen without a spotlight, something rare about being admired without expectation. And that kind of energy sticks with her. It lingers long after the night ends, long after the conversation fades. She remembers the look. She remembers the way it made her feel. Warm, appreciated, beautiful in a way that felt genuine. Not just desired, but valued. That's the kind of moment that separates you from the rest, because anyone can send flowers. Anyone can flirt, but not everyone looks at a woman like she's poetry, like her presence is enough, just as she is. And when that moment happens, she doesn't forget. Even if she doesn't admit it right away, even if she brushes it off, it stays. It replays in her mind on the quiet nights. It becomes one of the first pieces of the puzzle when she starts connecting feelings to your name. You see, love doesn't always begin with big declarations. It often starts in the stillness, in the small, unscripted moments where something real leaks through. When your guard is down and your heart is showing without permission, that's when she feels something she can't quite explain. That's when she starts to fall, slowly but surely. So don't underestimate the power of presence. Don't think she only notices what you say or what you do. Sometimes it's the way you look at her when she's not even looking at you. That's when she begins to feel chosen. Not for what she gives, not for what she does, but simply for being who she is. And that's a feeling she'll never forget. When a woman starts falling in love, she remembers the moment you respected her boundaries, not because you had to, but because you chose to. It might not seem like much to some, but to her it meant everything. It told her that you saw her as more than a goal, more than a conquest. You saw her as a human being, someone with a voice, with needs, with the right to say no, without being questioned or pushed. In that moment, it planted a seed of trust in her heart. Maybe it was the night you walked her to her door and didn't try to turn a good night into anything more. Maybe it was when she told you she wasn't ready to talk about something and you didn't dig deeper or pressure her to open up. Or maybe it was the way you didn't flinch when she set a limit, physical, emotional, or otherwise. You didn't pull away. You didn't guilt her, you didn't change, you just respected it. And that respect became a memory she carried with her. Because respect to her feels like safety, it feels like honor. It feels like someone finally understands that love isn't about crossing lines. It's about building a space where she doesn't have to guard herself every second, where she can breathe, where she knows that being true to herself won't cost her your attention. That kind of respect, it's rare, and when she feels it, it creates a shift in how she sees you. She starts to realize that she can trust you, not just with her body, but with her thoughts, her time, her emotions. It's not about how far things go or how fast they move. It's about knowing that you're not trying to take anything from her that she's not ready to give, that she's not being measured by what she offers physically or emotionally, but simply valued as she is. And here's something most people don't understand. Women remember restraint. They remember the man who waited, who didn't make her feel rushed or wrong or too complicated. The man who understood that intimacy, real intimacy, isn't just about what happens behind closed doors. It's about how you make her feel when she sets the pace, when she takes a step back, when she tests your patience, not on purpose, but because she needs to feel in control of her own heart. When you respect her boundaries, you're telling her something deeper. I care more about your comfort than my own agenda. That kind of message, it hits different. It separates you from the noise. It makes her pause. And that's when love starts to feel possible. That's when she starts to see a future. One that doesn't require her to shrink or bend or constantly explain herself. Because in the end, love doesn't grow where pressure lives. It grows where honor lives, where patience lives, where a woman knows she can say not yet and still be held with the same admiration. That moment is everything to her. And that's why she remembers it long after everything else fades. There's always that one conversation she remembers, the one that changed everything, not because it was dramatic or filled with declarations of love, but because in that moment you made her feel like the only woman in the world. Everything else faded, the noise, the distractions, the past. All that remained was the way you looked at her, the way you listened, the way you made space for her words like they mattered more than anything else. That's not just a memory, it's a shift, a turning point, a moment where she started to see you not as just someone she liked, but someone she could fall for. Maybe you were talking about something simple, your childhood, her dreams, a song that brought back memories. And somehow the conversation opened a door between you that neither of you saw coming. Your attention wasn't scattered. You weren't on your phone. You weren't waiting to speak. You were present, and in today's world, where everyone's racing to be heard but no one's really listening, that kind of presence is magnetic. She remembers how your eyes didn't wander, how your energy didn't shift when she said something honest or deep or a little bit messy. You weren't looking to judge her or fix her. You were just there, anchored, tuned in, and in that stillness she started to feel something she hadn't felt in a long time: peace. That conversation may not have lasted hours, but to her it felt timeless. It was the moment she realized she didn't have to perform with you. She didn't have to impress you. She could just be asterisk, and you would still lean in, still smile, still stay. That kind of acceptance does something to the heart. It invites it to soften, to open, to trust. And that's when she starts to fall, not for the version of you she sees on the surface, but for the man who showed up when it truly mattered. It's easy to talk, it's easy to flatter, but to hold space for a woman's thoughts and feelings in a way that makes her feel prioritized, seen, and cherished. That's different, that's powerful, that's rare, and she remembers it long after the moment has passed. She doesn't fall in love with how much you talk, but with how you made her feel when she talked. Did her voice matter to you? Did her story pull you in? Did you respond with curiosity, not just kindness? Because in that conversation, she wasn't just sharing words. She was offering pieces of herself, and you didn't just catch them. You held them carefully, like they were precious. Like she was precious, that's why she remembers it. That's why her heart started to whisper things she wasn't ready to say out loud yet. Because in your presence she felt like the center of the universe, not because you told her she was, but because, for that moment, she truly was. And that moment becomes a memory love builds upon. There's a moment in every woman's story of falling in love that catches her off guard. A moment she didn't expect. It's when she sees the side of you the world rarely gets to witness, the soft side, the vulnerable part. The glimpse of the real you behind all the confidence, the humor, the calm exterior. And when that part of you shows, whether by accident or trust, she doesn't just notice it. She holds on to it. Because that's the moment everything changes. Maybe it came out when you talked about your childhood, about your dreams that didn't work out, or the people you've lost. Maybe you mentioned how your father never told you he was proud of you, or how hard you're trying to be the kind of man no one was for you growing up. Or maybe it wasn't what you said, it was how your voice cracked when you weren't expecting it to, or the way you looked away for just a second too long when something touched your heart. You didn't do it for attention. You weren't trying to impress her. In fact, you might have been hesitant to share that part of yourself at all. But you did. And in that small, honest moment, you showed her who you really are. And that's when her guard started to fall. Because what you didn't realize is, she wasn't looking for perfection. She was looking for real asterisk, for raw. For someone who wasn't afraid to feel, or at the very least, someone who didn't hide from it. That soft side, the one you try to protect. It's not a weakness in her eyes. It's the proof that you have depth, that you've lived, that you carry both pain and purpose inside you. And when she sees that, when she feels that, something in her shifts. She no longer sees you as just someone she's dating or getting to know. She starts to see you as someone she could build with, someone she could trust, because when a woman is falling in love, she wants to know the man behind the mask. She wants to know what keeps you up at night, what you secretly wish for, what scares you, what breaks you, what heals you. Not so she can fix you, but so she can love you right there in those unspoken places. And when you let her in, even just a little, it becomes a moment she replays over and over again. It's not about how strong you appear. It's about how honest you're willing to be. That glimpse into your heart becomes the foundation of her affection, her respect, and eventually her love. Because in a world full of men trying to act unbreakable, you became the one who dared to be human. And that's unforgettable. That's the kind of memory that holds her heart long after the first kiss, long after the first "I love you." It's the moment that told her, this man has layers, and I want to know them all. Asterisk, and that's when she begins to love you not just for how you make her feel, but for who you truly are.